Hi,
Good
everybody. Good
evening,
evening.
Jane.
Hi, Bradley. How are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well. Thank you, darling. Very well indeed.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome, everybody, this evening to Aderans UK Live. Thank you for tuning in to us again. It's 7 o'clock this evening. And I'm going to just pass you to Bradley to tell you what we're actually talking about this evening. And then I'll let you know what kind of things inspired us. Bradley.
Over to me straight away. So this
Over to you.
evening, this evening we are looking at the colours of the year, which some of you may realise we every single year, not just us at Aderans, but globally, a colour is selected to be the colour of the year. Sometimes a curveball is thrown and we get lucky. We have two. This year we have actually been thrown two colours of the year. But the main one, for the main part, is a shade of grey. And this is called the ultimate grey. So tonight we are looking at grey, basically. And this has been recognised in the fashion industry as well as the design industry as the colour of the year. Now, that's not done, just chosen at random. That's chosen by experts that look at everything that we do as humans and how we behave and pick up culturally on what exactly it is that we are focusing in on. And this year, surprise, surprise, it's grey. I mean, it's a very grey year. If I could describe the last couple of years, it would be grey. How do you feel about that, Jane?
It's very true, actually. But I think when you actually look at the colour grey and all the different shades that are actually available in that kind of whole colour spectrum, and even though we had grey last year, it was quite a popular colour for a lot of people, and people were playing around with it and were getting quite inspired to actually colour their hair all different shades. It is probably one of the only things that we're going to be taking forward from 2020 into 21. I don't think there's really anything else that we would want to take forward from last year into this coming year that we're in now.
I think that's generally the thing, isn't it?
I think so. I think most people would probably agree with us on that one as well. So it's one thing that has actually come from last year going into this year. And when we actually look around ourselves and we actually look at all the natural shades that you see every day, it's things that you probably don't actually realize you're looking at or what you're actually visualizing. But I mean, here we're very lucky. We live on the beach and it's a pebbly beach, not a sandy beach, but that beach is actually full of different shades of grey. And grey comes in all different tones as well. It can be anything from a very, very rich, very dark charcoal grey. It can actually go down to a very, very light silver grey as well, or a dove grey. So you get those undertones of lilac and those undertones of silver within that grey. You also get those mushroomy colours within the grey as well. So when we think of grey, sometimes we just think of a very dull colour, but there's lots of different colours in that spectrum that we can actually use to actually make the wigs and the colours we're looking at really, really exciting. So we see pebbles all the time, but also if you're out in the country and you might actually see an old tree that has actually been blown down, or it was, killed by an electric, lightning, you're going to see all those different shades of grey. And when I actually just show you here, like this spectrum of grey that we've got just in one of our collections, and you can see the actual difference that there is from the really deep dark greys going down to the really pale greys. And then you've got those really creamy, pearly colours as well. So I think there's something in that spectrum that would suit everybody. And I think with colour placement and choosing the right colour, you can actually get the grey wig for most people to actually suit them. The really difficult thing is, and I think if anybody's watching this evening and you've got your own bio growing hair and it's something you think you'd like to play around with, to actually achieve that colour with our own growing hair is really, really difficult. It would probably take you 3-4 visits to a colourist in a salon. Once they've achieved it, then you've got that upkeep, which is going to be really, really expensive. So for us, the ultimate thing is for you to actually look at all the different collections, all the different wig collections that are available, and actually play around with colour that way. It's going to be a cheaper way to do it, and it's going to be so much less damaging on your hair as well. What would you suggest, Bradley?
I think definitely you have to go with synthetic when it comes to the greys. I think that the colour just really lends itself well to the actual fibre that it's on. Any type of fibre that I've seen in a grey or a silver wig has been really striking in comparison to when you see it on human hair. When it can look quite dull and quite flat when you haven't used a lot of products on it to add that shine back in, because let's be honest, you have to bleach your hair to high hell to get it to a light enough colour to then put the grey over the top, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to achieve, I mean, with your own hair, to actually achieve those beautiful grey shades that we can with a wig, your hair is going to be so damaged by the end of it that you're not going to be able to keep the colour, and the colour will slide off it really quickly as well. So playing around with wigs to actually blend into your own hair and use your own hair is a great way of moving forward. For those of you who are necessity wearers, you're very fortunate in some ways that you can actually play with colour and you can experiment with colour. So you can actually have, you know, try that grey shade if you wanted to. And I think years ago, and even now, people think if you think of somebody grey, you're going to be thinking of somebody like a very or elderly grandmother, somebody in their 70s, maybe 80s. But those people are actually so much younger now than they actually used to be. I mean, if you're 50, you're probably about a 40 age group now. So we're all younger than our mothers were or our grandmothers were. So we're not looking at kind of short, curly grey wigs anymore. We've got a lot of fashion wigs out there as well, which is fantastic to look at. This is just a cover of our latest Noriko collection. And on the front cover is actually got the emery. And the emery is in a moonstone. And as you can see, it's a really nice silver colour, but it's got that really nice root to it as well. So it's a fashion statement as well nowadays. In the Amore collection, on this image, you can see you've got a very sharp bob, beautiful colour again. And the colour in that is a smoky grey R. So you can get those fashion colours, those fashion statement greys, along with those styles. I think another one, and this is when we were talking about all the different shades that you might actually see when you're looking at, say, a whole kind of beach of pebbles, and you get everything from your lilacs and your purples and your pinks as well. Very muted colours. With the actual high fashion, this is an image of the Lenox. And the Lenox is in what we call a pastel rainbow R. And even though it's not grey, the blonde of it is so white. It's such a pure colour. We were in that grey spectrum. But then you've got those very, and I don't know if I can bring it forward, if you might be able to see the colours through it. You've got just hints of pinks and violets and purples actually running through there in blue. So you've still got that fashion element, but you're actually bordering on those kind of grey tones as well. Also, Bradley will actually be able to help me out on this one as well. There's a famous model, Bella Hadid. Hadid, is that correct? Yes, I think so. And she actually last year played around with grey tones and grey colours on her hair as well. And with quite an interesting result, wasn't it really, Bradley, when you look at social media?
It was. Jane actually told me about this, so she's batted this over to me already once today, because she thinks me being the young spring chicken that I am, I should know all about social media, and I actually didn't know about this. So Bella Hadid, threw us a curveball, went in for the grey hair last year at some point, and obviously with her being she's a supermodel. So she's probably one of the highest paid models out there right now. And for her to do something with her actual hair is quite a brave thing to do, because I know for a fact that most of the models that we've worked with here at Aderans are not allowed, if they have still got their bio hair, to bleach, dye or cut it due to the restrictions of their agency. But she went in for the grey, and was it Pinterest? Interest in grey hair on Pinterest went up by 302%.
Yeah.
Is that right? And she
Yeah,
actually
it's 308%.
It's mad. So that's all people seeing what she's done, being so influenced by it and curious that they've looked at grey styles themselves or how they can achieve this at home. And it was TikTok that you mentioned, wasn't it, Jane? That it.
Yep.
What did it crash, or what did she do to it?
It got locked down. Yeah, it got locked down.
It.
They had yeah, she broke it. She had so many hits on it. I presume that's what you call with TikTok. I don't know. So many hits on it that they actually caused it to crash. So that's quite an amazing achievement, really, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. I would like for us to one day break the internet with these live shows that we do.
God, that would be amazing, wouldn't it, really? That would be amazing. Yeah, and we got our new beginning that we had tonight, which was a very, very good, Bradley.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, enjoyed that. That was very good. Yeah, it was kind of quite nerve-wracking with the music going on. It's like, oh, any minute now, but it was very good. So I'm sure all of you were.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was quite. It's a weird thing because our screen basically blacks out while this is on and we can't tell who can see us and who can't. But then suddenly it clears and we're here and we know we're in the room. And that's kind of the nerve-wracking bit, isn't it? You're watching the countdown and you're like, we're in, off we go. But we're lucky tonight that we have actually managed to, we had a slight tech issue at the start. Again tonight, I apologize. Same culprit again, Instagram. It's just not built for this, but we've managed to find a way around it. You can see both of us on screen now. You can hear us. You can comment to us, as you always have been able to on that platform, and we will get back to you. We have actually got somebody behind the scenes tonight giving us a hand with comments on that platform. So if you have anything to ask, as always, just drop it in the chat here on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Instagram, and we will be sure to answer your questions.
Yeah, all of your questions are most welcome. It's great to actually have your feedback on what we're doing. And any question you think you want to ask, you know, somebody else might be thinking of asking that question, but is too embarrassed. So, yeah, just fire away with your questions. And we've got those all monitored on all platforms this evening, which is really good. So I'm just going to show you some colours that I've got behind me. As you can see, I've got some different wigs on display behind me. I'm just going to start with this one, which is a really nice wig. This is one of our new wigs that we've actually got in the collection. And this is called the Alexi. And it's from the new collection from Norike. And the Alexi, this colour is what we call a smoky grey R. So you've got that really beautiful subtle root area. And it's quite a charcoaly grey shade that we've actually got going on. It's almost like a graphite grey going on through that root. It's just a very subtle 1 to 2 centimetre root. So it's just giving you that smudge in that indication of colour. Then going through those mid-length and ends, we're then going into what I would actually think is more of a pewter grey. It's actually got a really nice shine and sheen to it. And I think that colour would work on most age groups. You've got to really think about your skin tone, your makeup, what you're wearing with it to actually accentuate the actual colour when you're actually wearing it. Style-wise, I think, again, works really well. It's just got that very soft, natural wave to it, as if you've just kind of got up out of bed and off you go. I think it's the kind of look you would be seeing on a lot of young 20, 30-year-olds, really, quite trendy young people. It's a really nice wig, and the front of it actually has a lace front as well, just going through that front panel. And by doing that, it's actually making that fringe sit really flat. So it just hugs the actual contour of your forehead as well when you're wearing it. So you're going to get a really nice natural look with that. It is really quite a cute, short little fringe that they've put into this wig as well, I think. It's lovely. And as it swings around, you can just see that chocolatey graphite grey coming through on that root area. So it gives a lot of definition, I think, to the colour as well. And I think that's quite important. I think when you've got somebody younger wearing these wigs and wearing these kind of colours, you maybe want to go for something that's got a little bit of a root to it, something with different shades running through it, just to actually give it that extra interest. Really, it just kind of funks it up and makes it a little bit more modern for us, which is really good. So that's the Alexi, which is one of our new ones. You might have seen it the other week when we were talking about the Noriko collection. Again, a synthetic wig, so very easy for you to maintain and to actually look after. Then I'm just going to move down to this one in the front. This is actually a wig from our Muse collection. And the Muse collection has got 4 different wigs in it. This one's called Velvet Waves, and you can see it's just got that lovely wave movement to it. The wave movement is a slightly stronger wave movement to what we actually had in the Alexi. The Alexi just was much, much softer through those ends. But this colour, Midnight Stone, again, is really quite an interesting colour. You've got the rooted colour, but it's a much longer root. And it actually just merges and graduates into that middle length and end colour. And again, I think when you're looking at that colour, you're almost looking at a graphite grey, really, through the root, and then going into a very kind of, it's almost like a dirty kind of grey on the ends, really, for want of a better description to it. And again, it just works really well. It's a very young colour for, you know, very young modern people. The lovely thing about this particular wig, though, and I think particularly if you're somebody who's lost all their hair, the actual lace parting that we've got in this and the actual lace front to it is actually superb. So when it's actually on, and if I just pop that onto my hand, you're going to actually see how natural that actually looks. So if you're sat down in a restaurant, somebody's looking at the top of your head, you're not going to feel kind of awkward or embarrassed, because it just looks as if the hair is growing straight from your own scalp. So it's absolutely a really, really lovely finish for that one. Also, so the inside of that wig.
We've had some questions come in about this one already. So are we able to change where the parting is on these wigs, whether you've got them like that with the lace front?
It's really difficult to actually change that parting. The reason why, when you've got that lace parting and lace front, we're only looking at probably the parting being about 1 inch wide. So it's very difficult to maneuver it around. It's quite a strong parting. If you wanted to move it and make more of a zigzag parting or just mess it up a little bit, when you've actually washed it, that would be the time for you to actually wiggle that hair around and to actually change it. But you would need to wash it to actually do so in the beginning, really.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see, look, somebody's asking here, how do you know which grey shade suits your skin tone? That's kind of a little bit of trial and error. I think if you're very, very pale, blue-eyed, quite pale skin, you're probably going to be able to be going for the really white blondes, which would look really quite good on you, or go something with a little bit of depth to the root colour, because it's just going to make it look a little bit more dramatic for you. I think if you've got a slightly warmer skin tone, then you actually want to go for more of like a silvery pewtery kind of grey, really. But the great thing is, if you're going to order some of these grey wigs mail order, you can order 2 or 3 of them. By doing that, you can actually just try them on in the comfort of your own home, see which one really suits you and the one that makes you feel great, and then just return the other ones to us. So it's quite an easy process to actually do that as well.
It's a good question.
Did you have some more questions?
Yeah,
it is a good question.
I do. I think it's a good one as well, because it comes down to things like, you know, some people's skin tone has more of a pink base to it, doesn't it? Some have more of a golden base, and you've just got to work with, I guess some people would have the same thing with colouring their hair with any colour. I think it can wash you out, can't it? So as you said, it's important to change that up. Yeah, we've had a comment through saying, I love the velvet waves. Great to see the new collections. That's nice. We've got all of the
Thank
pieces
you.
behind you tonight are fairly new, aren't they, Jane?
They are fairly new. It's like when I kind of selected them, I selected them really for colour as much as for style. And it happened to be that they were like the most newest ones in our collections as well. So it was all quite by accident. I'll just put that velvet wave back and I'll take the one on the actual tour head behind it. This is another new one from our collection, from the Noriko collection. And again, this colour really speaks for itself. It's called Simply White, and you can see how kind of pure white that is. It's lovely. It's got a very, very silver undertones to it, and it's almost kind of a really platinum blonde white that we've actually got there. Again, I think that would actually suit most people and also all age groups as well. And obviously, with all of our wigs, if you've been watching us last week, you can actually personalise them, get them cut and styled by the people you actually purchase your wig from. It's difficult at the moment, I know, because nowhere's open, but we are all offering WhatsApp calls from all of our salons. And those stylists, if they've got a guide of a photograph that you want the wig cut like, they're going to be able to actually do that for you as well. So, you know, all's not lost. We've not kind of left you out there. We can actually still cut personalised wigs for you as well. So this one is called the Nima in Simply White. Again, another really lovely wig. And it's a wig, it's slightly asymmetric. You can actually do quite a lot with it. Last week when we were playing around in doing cutting with wigs, we actually used the same wig, but this is in the moonstone colour, so it's got that rooted colour. And we actually cut it quite short. We were trying to actually create a mohawk with it. And you can see where we've cut it short, that rooted colour is actually really jumping through. So giving you a lot more texture to the hair and a lot more interest to the hair as well. So that's actually quite a good thing to do. And I'll just turn her around. And I'm just going to leave that with Bradley now because he's going to mention what's going on with this particular little wig tonight.
Particular piece. That was a very, very smooth segue into that conversation, Jane. Well done. No one suspected a thing. So we are giving one lucky viewer tonight the opportunity to win the piece that Jane worked on last week, which is the piece you just saw, which is the Nima. All you have to do is comment somewhere on any of our 3 platforms that we're broadcasting on tonight the name of the shade of grey that is the colour of the year. So it is the exact name of the shade. If you can do that without Googling, then it'll make it more fun for yourself. So we will have a look through the comments that come through later on tonight and choose a lucky winner, which we will announce at the end of tonight's show. Over to you,
Brilliant.
Jane.
Yeah, thank you, Bradley. Yeah, I mean, it's a great prize to actually have. It's been cut into quite a fun style, but for somebody who wants to try something different, that hair has been spiked up quite a lot. You can actually, when you wash it, you could actually smooth it down and have it coming over to one side as well. So it's still quite a versatile cut that you've actually got there. But anybody wanting to play around, have a new look, then yeah, try to actually find out that answer. I think Bradley did actually mention it earlier in the programme, and we will probably mention it as we go through, just so you can actually look out and listen out to that as well. So yeah, so this colour being in the Simply White, I think is just an absolute fabulous colour. And you see that kind of colour on any age group. It can be on like a 70-year-old, or it could be on somebody in their 20s or in their teens. And you can just really change that up. Another great thing to actually have and to actually add with all these wigs is maybe to accessorise them, or to accessorise it yourself. You could wear big earrings, big chunky necklaces as well. All the big chunky necklaces are coming back in again now. That's kind of going to be the real rage through this spring and summer. So we're almost going back to almost like the 90s, the fashions of the actual 90s. Baggy jeans, chunky jewellery, and just those funky haircuts as well. So we're going to see a lot of colour, and the colour that kind of goes particularly well with most shades of these greys, or all shades of these greys, are yellows as well. So you can go for a very soft yellow like a primrose, or a really bright yellow like a daffodil yellow, and that's a good colour. It really does complement that colour, and it does team well with all the actual grey shades that we've actually got as well.
Well, interesting you should say that, Jane, because the second colour of the year, aside from the one that we are trying to guess right now, was actually yellow. So the two colours that have been picked up on by Pantone, the colour people, were grey and yellow this year. And I believe it's called illuminating yellow is the exact shade. So, you know, do with that what you will, but I think they're two completely opposite things, and you're right, they do work and complement each other very well.
They do really work quite well together. Just on the table in front of me, I've got a grey cutting comb, and there's also a piece of yellow paper on my table, just randomly there with some notes on it, and those colours do work really quite well together. So I think we're probably going to be seeing kind of interiors with, and I know a lot of people have got grey in their houses now. I know, my house is actually a lot of grey tones in it. And I know a lot of people are using that mustard colour, but I think we're going to come into those much softer yellow colours as well, which would actually look really nice. And think about that when you're wearing a wig. I know sometimes when ladies are wearing the wig for the first time, or they're just getting used to wearing wigs, they feel quite nervous. They feel as if everybody's maybe looking at them and thinking that they are wearing a wig, and people can walk down the high street and think, oh, look at that lady wearing a wig. But actually, most people, if they're looking at you, are probably looking at you thinking, what a fabulous haircut, or what a fabulous colour you've actually got. And if they're looking at you, just take it as a compliment, because that's probably why they're looking at you, and they're trying to get up the courage to actually ask you what salon you go to get your hair coloured or to get your cut done, because the hair always looks so absolutely perfect. And also, I think people, when they're wearing them for the first time, they feel quite self-conscious about it. So if you actually did wear, some nice chunky jewellery or big earrings to go with it, then the emphasis comes away from your hair and people are looking at something else. And again, that's probably going to just give you that little bit more confidence to actually wear your new hair with the confidence that you want when you're actually out and around and going to work and doing your normal daily things that you're doing. With this one, this is also one from our Noriko collection. And this is called Emery, and it's in the actual shade Moonstone. So the shade of this one is exactly the shade of the one that we actually cut down. But you can see what a difference it actually makes when you actually cut the hair quite short. So when you can actually see this one with the hair actually cut quite short, you can really see that root colour that is actually come through. With the one that's not been cut, again, if the wind blows, you shake your head, you've just got that little hint of darker root colour coming through. It's going to actually just accentuate it as well, and it just gives it a little bit more of a modern twist when you can see that really nice. And I think that's a really kind of quite a charcoaly pewter grey coming through there. I mean, there's lots of names for greys that you can actually describe them. You can have shadows, you can have mushroom. And when you look at mushroom, you tend to think they kind of the beige or brown. But if you really look at them, they're like lots of shades, but it's the warmer grey tones that those mushroom ones actually come into. Then you can have clouds as well. And at the moment, we've got lots of grey clouds around, all different shades. You've got charcoals and pewters, and then dove greys as well. And when we look at a dove grey, again, it's that really soft grey, which has got that kind of hint of purple running through it. So again, it would just actually pick up on your skin tones as well. I think when we're looking at grey, you really do need to play around with the wigs and the colours to actually get what really suits you personally. And once you find that shade, you're probably going to actually stick with it, I think, for quite a long time, because I don't think these colours are going to actually disappear that quickly. I think it's something they're going to be here for probably the rest of the spring and definitely going into the summer, isn't it? Different colours may be coming out through the autumn and winter, but for spring and summer, these grey shades really are going to actually be out there. And for any of you really fashion conscious ladies, you're the ones who are going to be actually kind of rocking those new colours that we're going to actually see. So hopefully you're going to actually really love those colours.
I think, Jane, as well, it speaks volumes that we've got so many grey wigs coming through in all of the new collections, and we have done for the past year, really, and they've been more fashion wigs as well, haven't they? So it's definitely something that I think is here to stay, because it's everywhere. I mean, my favourite shade of grey is actually the one that you named for it was the lotus, wasn't it? Do you remember you were looking at all the different types of wood?
The zebra wood.
Yes, which I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah. It is a thing. Yeah, for any of you actually are familiar with our latest collection, all the names are like sycamore, zebra wood, and all the names are actually names of different woods. If you wonder where we get our names from, it is quite random. Sometimes I'll sit going through the internet looking at groups of colours, and those were all named after different types of wood. And I've actually got a task in front of me, because I've got 6 new wigs and 6 new colours for the Lotus collection that I need to name as well. So I'll be looking at all different woods again to come up with some more names. But yeah, it was really interesting that though, and a lot of people didn't realise, as Bradley said, what it actually was and how did you come up with these colours, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But whilst we're on the topic of the Centu products tonight, we actually have an offer for everybody this evening, which will last from tonight until next week. And I'm just going to magic it on screen now. So let's just pray this works. Oh, there we go. So we've got 10% off our Centu collection with the code GREY over on our website, which kickstarts right this second and will end just before our webinar next Wednesday. So there you go.
Oh, wow.
Jane, you look amazed.
That was, yeah, no, that was very good. I didn't realise that was going to actually come up like that. Excellent. Yeah,
there we go.
We are learning new things every week, aren't we? Really that's brilliant. And what a great offer for everybody to actually, something from the Centu collection. So you've got Centu Premium, Centu Premium Plus, and Centu Lotus as well. So 3 really great collections. And actually in those 3 collections, we've actually got 19 different shades of grey as well. So if you did want to actually kind of try any of those grey shades, see what they look like, we've actually got 19 different shades of grey in that collections, in all of those collections, but obviously lots of other grey, colours as well, apart from the grey. This is actually, and I didn't, just by coincidence, I've got the Centu colour ring in front of me, and as you can see, the spectrum of colour choice that you're going to actually have is huge. So you're going to have a huge choice of different colours to actually choose from. So have a little look through our internet, go onto the website, look at the actual styles available, and actually take up Bradley's offer, because it's a really nice offer, I think. Well done, Bradley. I didn't realise that was going to be popping up.
Well, you're all welcome.
That was a surprise. But that was a surprise to me. But yeah, really good. I know we've talked a lot about the grey shades, and that's what, we really wanted to talk about tonight, what inspired us, and like those grey shades that are actually going to be here for, I think, probably the best part of 2021 leading into 22. But also, and we'll do another episode talking about different shades that are going to be popular through the summer and what is actually coming through in the market. And when we're actually looking at all the different colours and what's going to be popular out there. There's some really statement colours that are going to actually be popular. We're thinking of a lot of kind of ginger, a lot of copper colours. And if any of you, and I'm sure loads of you actually watch the series The Queen's Gambit, think that kind of colour. She was wearing a wig in that series, and she looked absolutely beautiful the whole time in her wig. And that's the kind of shades we're getting. Again, you can see behind me like the darker shades of copper that you can actually see. That's going to be a really big colour from now on, moving through into the summer and going through into the autumn as well. You're going to have a lot of brown shades as well, but with that warm undertone as well. So they're not going to be flat browns as well. Also, what we're going to actually see is a lot of colours that are actually just all one colour. So losing that root colour and actually going to all one shade as well. So it's going to be more block colours that we're going to be looking at. Very ashy greys as well that will be coming through that you can actually see with all of our collections. So I think when we're looking at colour, we're going to have a lot of strawberry blondes and a lot of orangey colours coming through. But when we look at orange, that colour spectrum again is absolutely huge, from going to the bright orange to like the palest of shades and every kind of colour in between. And this is one of the actual great colours that is available now. Again, this kind of shade is going to be actually taking us right through the spring into the summer. And this is what we actually call a peach gold. And if I bring it quite closely to the camera, you might be able to see those very subtle shades of like peachy, pinky colours that are actually running through that. And I think if you wanted something quite soft, quite flattering for the summer and go into a warmer colour, that's actually a really nice colour to actually have. Again, it's one of the new styles. I think personally the style is absolutely beautiful. It just moves absolutely lovely. But the colour, again, is in that spectrum of those golds and oranges that we're actually looking for. Think kind of sunset colours, really. And that's the kind of colour you're going to actually hit on. And I know over the next couple of weeks, we've got some new exciting colours coming out as well with our high fashion collection, which we'll be really excited to show you when those are available. They've also got those kind of spectrum of colours in it as well. So it's really nice colours that you can actually look out for this coming season, which is really nice. And I think we've kind of gone through a really difficult year and we're coming through the other side. Hopefully, you know, a few months' time, we're all going to be back out there doing different things. And I think we're all ready to kind of start celebrating by doing something with our hair, making us feel good about, you know, ourselves and what's going on, isn't it? I know definitely I can't wait for my hairdresser to actually open up again to actually sort me out. So it's kind of everybody's going to be doing it and actually grabbing hold of it and wanting all these different fashion colours to actually try. And I just want to pass to Bradley, because I want to ask Bradley, I know over the last few weeks and before Christmas, if you've been tuning in, we done a programme all about our hair spa, which is our little electrical device to actually stimulate your hair growth. And Bradley's been actually using that on a very regular basis. So are you still seeing an improvement with your hair, Bradley?
I actually am, yeah. For me, I think
Good.
the biggest change is the volume that I get after using it. So my hair is naturally, I'm still quite blonde. I had white blonde hair as a child, and I only really started to get darker hair when I hit about 16, 17, 18. And then it's sort of plateaued, and as you can see, I'm still fairly blonde. And my hair's very fine, very soft, European, you know, standard hair. And I don't get any volume with it at all. In fact, it's very flat. And using the hair spa has just kind of made it, you know, have a little bit of oomph to it. But I still feel like it's, I can't get the same level of clean without using that now. In fact, I don't really like not using it.
Well, I mean, that's great. So every time you shampoo your hair, you use it every time then?
Yeah, every time at the moment. And I do feel like obviously it's hard for me to monitor whether there's new hair growth because I haven't got anybody that can really judge that at the moment with me, you know, being locked down and everything. But I'm noticing that my hair feels thicker because it looks fuller because there's more volume. So that's probably the biggest thing that I've noticed myself. But I was kind of the guinea pig on this, wasn't I? The experimental
Yeah,
Aderans bunny
completely.
rabbit. Before Christmas,
You
and we were
were.
lucky to shoot that video, which maybe we'll be able to show everybody on this in a couple of weeks' time when we've ironed out all of the little techie problems that keep arising throughout the night.
That, yep, that would be good, and we can actually show them again the hair spa and what it actually does. I know
Absolutely.
Bradley was actually hoping when we made the video that he was going to be able to come into work every day, and then when he wanted his hair shampooed, he was going to get me to shampoo his hair for him using the actual hair spa. It's not worked out that way, unfortunately, for Bradley.
The country is against.
So, yeah. So when we see you again in real life, then we're going to see that you've got actually a lot more volume to your hair, which would be good.
I hope so. Hope it's not just my imagination.
Yeah, I mean, for all of those of you out there who don't know what the actual hair spa is actually and I'm just thinking, I can't think where mine actually is at the moment. 1 second. And I'll just... Oh. No, sorry, I can't. The hair spa, we think it was like the gadget of the year, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's an electrical gadget. You can actually charge it by putting it into your USB, which works really quite well. It's waterproof, so you can actually use it in the shower. You can actually use it in the bath as well. And it's got 4 nodules on it, and those nodules all rotate around. And it's the equivalent of 2,800 finger movements. So if somebody's shampooing your hair, it's like 2,800 different rotations, and it's touching 70 different nerve endings as well. You can use it to massage your shoulders, anything really. We've had people buying it to actually use it on their thighs for their cellulite as well. So people are using it for all different reasons, which is fantastic, I think. And the great thing is it does stimulate your hair growth. If you've got alopecia and you've lost all your hair, it's not going to actually make your hair grow back. But for those of you who've got male pattern baldness, female pattern baldness, it will actually encourage that hair growth. And what it actually does, because the actual hair follicle can actually get quite a lot of kind of grubbiness and dirt and grease stuck into the actual area where the hair grows out, it cleans all that out. So it means that hair can actually grow a lot more healthier as well. And whereas you might have had one hair coming out of the follicle, it could actually encourage 2 hairs to actually grow. And that's really why Bradley is actually seeing that extra lift in that extra body and volume that he's actually getting to his hair. It's actually bringing all those all the blood to your surface of your actual head. And it's actually, because of that blood flow, it's going to actually stimulate all your hair growth. So any of you who are actually interested and want a little bit more knowledge on that, tune in next week because we're going to be talking about it a little bit more. Or you can actually email any of us or ring our office and we can actually give you a lot more information on that as well. Or any of our salons, they're still operating at the moment. They're not actually open for visitors, but they're operating at the moment. So you can talk to any members of our staff as well about the hair spa or about any of the wigs that we've actually seen and talked about this evening. So it's a really great thing to actually do. Bradley, is there any questions coming through?
We actually don't have any questions right now, but I thought it might be a good opportunity for us to talk about what we're doing next week on our next live show, just while we've got everybody with us tonight, because I think we've definitely covered everything for the Ultimate Grey and Illuminating Yellow tonight. as the colours of the year. So I think if we just move forward into next week, so we've had a change of schedule, but it doesn't actually affect you guys because you didn't know what the schedule was anyway. So that's not a problem for you. But we have moved our plans around, and we actually have a really interesting presentation for you next week. For those of you that follow our blog on a weekly basis or get emails from us about our blog on a weekly basis, a couple of weeks ago we had one about coronavirus and its effect on causing hair loss, whether that was a myth or whether that was true. So we really broke down that idea and discussed it on this blog. And next week we're going to actually speak to everybody about that, and we have a special guest, don't we, Jane, to join us for the first time ever in Aderans UK history.
Yeah, we do. It's going to be actually quite exciting. So next week, for the first time, we're going to have 3 of us on the screen talking to you. So you're going to have somebody else to actually listen to as well. And we've got a really interesting guy joining us next week called Mark Blake, who's a trichologist. Mark's really, really interesting. He's really high up in his game of trichology. He was also a salon owner, so understands hair problems and everything along with it. So I think he's going to be a really interesting person to actually have on. So if you've got any questions which might relate to trichology, to wigs, to the hair spa, about your hair growth or hair loss, tune in next week, because there's going to be lots of questions, I'm sure, isn't it, from everybody who would actually like to speak to him. And we can put the questions forward to Mark next week. And that's 7 o'clock again on Wednesday.
Absolutely. And I think it's definitely something that's been on a lot of people's minds for some time. So I'm glad that we actually have the platform to talk about it, aside from obviously having our blog as well, because I think it's definitely something that we're going to see more of, and we're going to experience more of it. And the pandemic doesn't seem to be, you know, going anywhere anytime fast. So there's light at the end of the tunnel, but we've still got a lot to come to terms with at the moment.
It's quite a dim light still.
Yeah, to put it that way makes a lot more sense. Yes, it is. Indeed, it's not the illumination. Yeah, that's it.
Not yet, not out there, but yeah. I think next week will be really quite interesting to everybody. So maybe think about your questions that you might want to actually ask. And also, if you're not able to join us next week, you could always just email your questions as well to us, and we can put them forward for you. You can actually email them to our info@trenco.co.uk, or you can email them directly to myself, which is jane@trenco.co.uk. And I'm quite happy. I'll write your questions down, and we'll actually put those forward to Mark next week as well. If you don't think you'll actually be able to make the programme, or you're not so sure that you want to ask those questions yourself, we can ask those questions for you, and that's not a problem. And if we had anybody answering your question this evening, Bradley?
You know what? We actually haven't had anybody answer the question correctly.
No really? Did you want to give us like...
Oh, I said the answer a couple of minutes ago, Jane. I don't want to say it again.
You don't want to say it again?
I don't want to say it again.
Maybe just repeat that question.
It's on most people's screens. That's the only tip I'm willing to give. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a really big tip, isn't it? If it's on most people's screens.
It should be within the title if you're viewing us on Facebook or YouTube. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, that's even a bigger clue.
It's literally spelled out for you guys. Come on, somebody needs to answer this correctly tonight.
Yeah, somebody needs to actually win that wig, or it's going to be going over to another competition at another time.
Well have to. Well, Jane,
I was going to say our questions aren't normally that difficult, really. I didn't think, but maybe this one was.
No, I think maybe throwing a little curveball in there. But what we'll do is we'll leave it open for now, and I think we will keep it open if nobody answers within the next 30 seconds or so, and we can monitor the comments in 24 hours and see what happens. See if anybody gets it right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we can look at those again tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah,
that's
because
what
it'd
we'll
be
do.
lovely that somebody does actually win that wig for this evening, really, to play around with,
Absolutely.
which would be really good.
Yeah. Well, Jane, it's
Well,
been really great. So, oh, okay, we've had some
somebody's
questions.
just asked, what is the question?
What is the question? So maybe,
There we go, Bradley.
okay, we'll repeat the question
I
one more
missed the
time.
question. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great one. Okay, so the question. The question is, what is the exact name of the exact shade of grey that has been crowned the colour of the year by Pantone, which is what we've been discussing this evening. A
And we're
lot of
getting
incorrect
lots of different
answers again.
answers popping through, but yeah, they are. I can see my screen going like this.
Ooh, I think it's
Oh,
a
I
tough
think you
one.
made. I think you made
You
the
know,
question too hard, Bradley.
I've actually just received the correct answer, but it's come through by text by somebody who has my number. So one viewer
Oh,
has my number.
oh, that's
So someone's
interesting.
got it. Someone's got it right. We're going to see if anybody else gets it right as well.
Another couple of lots
So
of
I can.
different answers now.
There's some
Different
correct
answers
answers coming
popping up
through
now.
now. There is some
Yeah,
correct
there
answers
are.
coming through. Right. Well, what we'll do,
Yeah.
Jane, is I think if we just wrap this up and then we will contact the winner at the end.
Okay.
And let them know.
Let
So
them know.
just before we end tonight, we wanted to start off this evening just saying a little something, but unfortunately I got wrapped up doing some technical behind the scenes things, and I didn't get a chance to say so. But just before we became live tonight, there was a lot of commotion and clapping going on outside both of the premises where Jane is and where I am this evening, giving a round of applause for Sir Captain Tom, who, as I'm sure you will know, unfortunately passed away due to the coronavirus yesterday, I believe. And we just wanted to, raise a little invisible glass to him tonight for the amazing work that he's done for the NHS, that we work so closely with on a really proud level every day, aren't we, to work with them. So
Absolutely.
that was all we wanted to say about that tonight. And just thank you for joining us. We're here every Wednesday at the moment throughout lockdown to encourage you to embrace the greys that I'm sure we've all developed some of during the stress of the last year. And next week we'll be back to talk with more topics. Every week we've got a topic coming up, but next week we've thrown the curveball in with the coronavirus and hair loss. So thank you for joining us tonight. I can see everybody's now getting the right answers coming through.
Well, there's a lot. No, I've been watching it coming up on the screen as you've been talking, and there's lots of right answers. Yeah, and lots of comments about Captain Tom as well, which is lovely. I think somebody we all fell in love with last year, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And, yeah. So I think it's a good night from Bradley and myself. Bradley will contact the actual winner tomorrow to let them know who the lucky person was. We've had so many answers come through now.
I'm going to have to sift through them
little hints. Yeah, see who is the first one to get their answer up. And that would be the lucky person. And hopefully you're all going to be able to join myself and Bradley next week at 7 o'clock. And we'll look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you for this evening. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Bradley. Thank you.